Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
May the good times and treasures of the present become the golden memories of tomorrow. We wish you lots of love, joy, and happiness at this Christmas season. Merry Christmas! Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. Thank you very much. A wonderful, wonderful lady and great singer, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. And right now, starting off the week correctly, here is a person with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there, buddy. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done. I liked your vigor this morning. Thank you, and God bless. Merry Christmas to you.
Same to you too, young man.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. I love those folks. Really nice people. Holy cow, it's time for the weather. I'm anxious to hear what Gina's got to say this morning because warmer temperatures get rid of the snow down here in the valley. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. All your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items for Christmas, whatever you need to make your house a home. And don't forget, they've also got gift cards too. Hey, Cheney Flooring and Home Design, you get a hold of them today. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off another work week on this Monday, December 7th. Afternoon rain showers is what we're expecting. Slightly breezy winds out of the south, right around 10 miles an hour. High of 42 for today. Tonight, low of 36. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, slightly breezy, high of 48. More rain showers are expected for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs are going to be 48 for Wednesday, 41 for Thursday. And as we move on closer to the weekend on Friday, cloudy skies and 36. Yesterday's high was 40. The overnight low was 20. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to you by our friends Kyle and Whitney Cheney and the rest of the crew at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yep, look for the new blue door right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Merry Christmas. We have a lot of things to discuss this morning, and most all of which are centered around the happenings of the last week or so in California. And also today is a day that will live in infamy. Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 1941. 2,400 of our young men and women were killed at Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. And I want to be sure and have a remembrance of this later on this morning at 10:30. My dear friend, and that's George Mass, will be here to remember Pearl Harbor Day that thrust us into the western portion of World War II. And George is going to have quite a bit of that later on this morning. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They urge you to remember that we're just days away from Christmas and the big gathering at the table and everything. Boy, did you see that table cover that you had during Thanksgiving? Did you see what it looked like when you took it off the table? While it looked like an Appaloosa horse, it was all stained with gravy and cranberry and everything. Well, you better hurry up and get it in there to Daryl's Cleaners to get it clean. Anything you need for Christmas time, now is the time to get it cleaned at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Absolutely the best. Oh, and those same words, the best, could also be applicable to SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. That's the number to call for Idaho's number one choice for wireless Internet. 18 years and counting. No control, no contract options, no credit checks, unlimited data, and you get your first month free plus free installation. That's going to be ending pretty quick, so you better give them a call at 677-8000. SafeLink Internet, serving you. Calls will be welcome and appreciated this morning. On a lighter note, before we get real serious this morning, Randy Wynn from Tires West, thank you. I mean, thank you to your Seattle Seahawks. They fell apart yesterday. Thank you to the hands of the Minnesota Vikings fell apart, I should say, to the hands of the Seattle Seahawks, 38-7. And if there's any team in the NFL right now that I should be scared of on behalf of my Green Bay Packers, it's the Seattle Seahawks. But by beating the Vikings yesterday, they put my Green Bay Packers back in first place, which is really a good thing. And also, can you believe the most hated team in football, at least the most hated by me, the New England Patriots, lost 2 in a row. They got beat yesterday by the Philadelphia Eagles. I could not believe it. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you about something that's coming up next week, and I really want your patronage over there at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. We're going to be having the Denny's Old-Fashioned Merry Christmas Party, and we're going to be broadcasting live and direct over there from 8 to 11, and we're going to have members of the Burley Choir as carolers singing Christmas tunes, and Ken Mort's going to be there, and door prizes, and Santa Claus, and Loot in the Boot to help needy families this year at Christmas time. Denny's Restaurant, and great food right along with it at 611 Overland in Burley, and their other location at 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Wonderful, wonderful people. By the way, too, Colonel Dale, I've got to salute my buddy, Colonel Dale, at the Book Plaza, and they've got a big Christmas giveaway going on, with over $1,000 in prizes and gifts and cash, and you register at the store, so get into 222 West 11th Street in Burley. I love saying that, 222 West 11th Street in Burley, the Book Plaza, and they've got everything in there for you. Believe me, books and gifts and jewelry. Thank you, Colonel Dale, at the Book Plaza. All right, your calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, we'll take this call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for your call. You're on the air.
And a very good morning to you too, Zeb.
How are you, my dear friend? Go ahead. What are you going to talk about this morning?
Well, how many people are warm and fuzzy after that speech by Obama yesterday?
Keith, I'm going to tell you.
I'm really disgusted myself.
What really? And I'm not trying to be prejudiced against him. I'm trying to be open and honest. Really, 13 minutes last night of Primetime Network. What did you hear that you didn't already know?
Well, the thing that I already knew is he was not going to admit that we were at war with ISA.
Yeah.
You know, he just did not do that. He did finally admit that it was an act of terror. He finally did admit that, but that's as close as he came.
The gist of the speech, honestly, and I don't like the man. I'll say this again so that we can have a refresher course. I don't like the man. I can't stand his ideology. I think he's the worst president ever in this nation's history. But what he said last night, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, he was more worried about Muslims than he is Christians and Jews.
That's certainly true. And, you know, you look at the size of his ears, you'd think he would listen to his advisors.
That's a good point. But he had to get his passion in there. He had to get his passion about, oh, well, we can't lump them all into the same category. Oh, we need more gun control. It was more of an admonishment against us than it was a security blanket for us.
That's exactly what I got out of it, Zeb, was that this was just another way of him approaching the gun control.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants. He didn't even say one word about climate change that I know this time.
Well, that's good.
Say that that's what provoked it.
Well, let me ask you one final question here this morning. When you listen to what he said last night, and you know the facts about what happened, let me just ask you, why is this president and also his Democratic former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, why are they so protective about Islam in this country?
I don't know. I guess maybe if I had an Islam neighbor, I would probably feel different than I do now. But the thoughts of them coming in here and wanting to be your neighbor and figuring out how to blow up your house every day, you know, you'd live in constant fear.
Absolutely.
And we just got to stop this refugee. This deal that Butch Otter's come out for the state of Idaho, how much is that going to be worth?
Well, the proof's going to be in the pudding, and I'll tell you something. Here's the way I feel about Christmas time right now. You and I are getting a little long in the earlobe and long in the teeth because of our age, but it stands true for anybody and everybody this Christmas season. I urge people to profile. I don't care if it's not a good thing according to some people or not. I urge everybody to be diligent and watch all through this Christmas shopping season. If you see something that looks suspicious, go to your officials, tell them what you have seen, see something, say something, because I urge everybody to be safe. Do you disagree with that?
You know, and to remember December 7th is a special time for me. I was 4 years old when this happened.
Yes.
But just 2 days after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, my mother passed away from congestive heart failure. And I was really too small to know much of anything, but that's how I remember that day and the fear that people had.
I want to talk about that in just a minute, Keith. Thank you so much for your call. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Same to you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I want to mention something about World War II and Pearl Harbor and the irony of how it actually reflects on today. So stand by just for a moment. Merry Christmas wishes from Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West of Paul on Kimberly Road. And Paul, your Zomatic dealer. My goodness, they've got two great locations serving you. And for all your irrigation needs, they'll get you wet. Merry Christmas from Butte Irrigation. Along Merry Christmas wishes with Burley Glass. Hello, Gentle Ben and the crew at 1029 Overland in Burley. And a big thank you to all the community for making their business so successful. Merry Christmas from Burley Glass. Senator Kelly Anthon wishes all of you in the Minicash area a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Senator Kelly Anthon, along with Representative and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, wishing all of his constituents a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And while we have just a moment, I also want to say thank you very much to Ramsey Heating and Electric. And they've been with us for a long, long time on this program. And don't forget, they've got all your heating and electrical needs, all your furnace filters, and they can help. They will help, and they'll have it waiting for you on the counter if you want to call ahead at 678-0459. Open at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Fridays. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Really good folks. Here's a little bit of the irony, I think. This is my own personal opinion. You can let me know. Excuse me for the cough. I thought about this yesterday as I was watching the news. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, our president during World War II, said that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. And he referred to them en masse as the Japanese. Now, today, with all the political correctness stupidity, we have to clarify who our enemies are and who is trying to kill us. I.e., just radical Islam or radical Muslims. And we have to be so PC that we don't lump it together as Muslims or Islamic jihadists. Why? I'm not about to sit there and concern myself with the political correctness of this situation. The situation in San Bernardino, California, was such, ladies and gentlemen, that it was terrorism, blatant deadly terrorism from Islamic terrorists. And I urge you, like I said a moment ago, when you go shopping, when you go on a little trip to Aunt Martha's and Uncle Fred's or wherever during this Christmas holiday season, to be very, very careful and know your surroundings and watch people. They tell us, oh, don't profile. Well, I am going to profile. I am going to watch very, very closely the surroundings that I'm in and also the people that are within that environment, that little circle of people in that store or whatever. And if I see something, you can bet your moccasins that I'm going to go and say something. And not just turn away and walk away. I'm going to demand to the store management and or security guards or whomever that something is done not 5 minutes from now, but now. And they check it out. That's how we all should be. Caller, I'll be right there. Please don't go away. I need to get this on the air real quick. Minnecasia Sales, don't forget. Oh, Zach and the rest of the folks. They are just absolutely the nicest people in the world over at Minnecasia Sales. 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. And they got everything over there. All your wood, your lumber packages, all the upgrade on your windows with those Western windows and save on your heating bills. Oh, my. Carpet, vinyl, everything. They know and they can help at Minnecasia Sales, and they sponsor on Tuesdays Dr. History. Don't forget at Minnecasia Sales in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zed.
Yes, sir.
We really don't know who these people are, so it's natural to mistrust them. New York Times, you've probably heard about this. They want to confiscate all our weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they need to do is jump on Barack Obama and have him send the troops in to disarm all these people that are in these Muslim training camps. That's what we need to do.
Do you see a pattern here of gun control and martial law possibly and absolute control by the government? And now I heard during the newscast something that really scares me is that the environmentalists are going to push for odd even days on your license plate numbers so that you cut back on emissions. And that means if you have a license number that ends in like a 6, you can only drive on certain days, or a 7 on certain days. I'm going to defy that law because I'm going to drive my vehicle that I paid for and do my job. I am sick of being controlled by the government and idiots.
Well, unfortunately, we've got about another year of this doofus that we've got in the White House, and I'm looking forward to the day that they can railroad this guy out of office.
Yeah, but the railroad isn't going to be effective unless you run Hillary off the tracks as well.
I hope you're right, Zeb.
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
This just is insane. Hillary, Grandma Hillary, came out and also defended the use or the non-use of the terminologies radical Islam. You know, let me just say this, audience. Please pay attention to what I'm mentioning. 14 wonderful, innocent people, grandfathers, grandmothers, moms and dads, aunts and uncles, were killed by these Islamic terrorists. And I don't mean to be crude when I say this, but I don't give one damn about hurting the feelings of Muslims in general because of the absolute and destitute feelings of these people that held the triggers back and just shot at will and injured 21 along with killing 14. If their feelings are hurt, poor baby, I don't care. There has to be more thoughts, prayers, and concerns for the victims of this terrorist rampage. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. We should not be suckered in to this no-fly zone being coupled with the ability to buy a firearm. As you know, there are thousands of people whose names are on that no-fly list that have absolutely no reason to be there.
Absolutely.
And this would give the government just a way to, we would all be on that no-fly list.
Absolutely.
And this is just another one of his Trojan horses, much like trying to separate Muslim from Islam as, being the radical elements. And here's the bottom line. We cannot forget a Muslim is a person that follows Islam. And Islam is the ideology/religion that describes in its own doctrines the elimination of infidels.
You know, I want to ask...
Bottom line, it's up to those people that no longer want to be Muslim. If they're peaceful, then you need to separate yourself from the Muslim, Islamic ideology. It's not my job to decide whether you're safe or you're not.
Let me just say this, and I want to get your reaction to this, and then I've got to do a commercial break. It is absolutely a necessity right now that the Muslims that are so-called peaceful living Muslims, they should create a scourge against the bad Islamic jihadists that are causing this problem. But they're not doing or saying anything, sir.
They're not, because if they speak out, they're subject to death. So let's just call it what it is. The Japanese did not have a creed to eliminate everybody that's not Japanese. They were just caught up with their emperor, whatever their motives were, but their religion is not that of taking over the world and eliminating everybody that does not agree with them.
Absolutely.
Islam does. That's the only religion on this earth that does. And that's what people get sucked into this. Oh, they're good and they're bad. Bottom line is, Islam is not a religion or ideology of peace.
I appreciate your calls and your comments. I've got a hard break coming up, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A couple of great spots right here. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, right behind Dr. Crane's office. And the number to call, 678-1191. They will help you get back to being you. All the exercises, sports medicine, Harrison Hydrotherapy Pool. I've been in that pool 1,000 times. I'll tell you what, absolutely the best of physical therapists. People helping you feel like yourself again. Call for an appointment at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Really good folks. By the way, I want to say thank you very much to Mount Harrison Audiology and the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. She's going to be on our program this Thursday at 10:30. And I thank her so much for everything that she's done, and she can help you with your hearing problems or concerns. Yes, give her a call. Make an appointment for a hearing screening. Very important. I'm so glad I did. Okay? 312-0957. Located right across from Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Stop in and see those wonderful people today or give them a call. Caller, I'm going to be right with you, and then I'll take your call, and then I'm going to give away some cinnamon rolls. So stand by, caller. I'll be right there. Don't forget to Berry Equipment and Rental. 3 locations, and I want to emphasize to you, Addison Avenue West, Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and, oh my goodness, big location at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Nick and the crew. Oh yeah, they've got the equipment, all the equipment, to get the job done right. All the Bobcat skid steer loaders, the Coyote tractors, of course, all the big Doosan loaders, everything for you at Berry Equipment and Rental, Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, Sam. When you're talking about Islam and the Muslims, I thought about my grandson. He was serving a mission down in Brazil. He's home now, thank heavens. But there was a period this summer that they were told that they could no longer teach Muslims about our church because one of their investigators that they were teaching in their district had been murdered by Muslims because he was investigating Christianity.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, we are supposed to be so careful that we don't offend anybody. But what about you and me? What about our being offended? Whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish, whatever faith, why should we be subjected to, don't say anything, don't criticize about the people that are trying to kill us? I'm not going to be that way.
Neither am I. And, I think I go along with the sheriff down in Arizona when he called for 250,000 people to start packing. I totally agree. And my husband and I both have enhanced weapon licenses. And we kind of have discussed that this weekend, that maybe we should start packing, all the time.
Well, let me just say this to you.
That we will probably have to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't really want to do that, but I don't want to die either.
Yeah, but for your security and those of your friends, neighbors, relatives, family, or even strangers in a communal place, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a shopping center, church, whatever. I honestly believe that we are at a point in our history, this nation's history, where we have bad people that want to do bad things to our society and absolutely destroy it.
I do too, and I know we have children that live down in the Houston area, and they, at their church, their bishop knows exactly which one in the congregation pack and where they sit.
Yeah.
And he condones it because he wants his congregation protected.
Well,
because they live in a volatile area.
Absolutely.
But our son-in-law packs all the time, and I have nephews that pack all the time that live down in Utah. I mean, my daughter packs all the time. She wears 2 guns if she's got long Levi's on. Mm-hmm. She wears one on her ankle, but she's always got a gun with her wherever she goes.
I respect.
She lives in Arizona.
I respect
it's just she wants to protect her family.
Absolutely.
And protect herself.
Absolutely.
And there's too many illegals coming across their border in Arizona, and too many assaults down in their area. She lives in the Tucson area.
I know.
And, so it's not because we want to take a life or, you think you're macho or something. It's just it's our self-preservation and our own protection.
Absolutely, and so well stated. You know, I've got to do this next little bit with the cinnamon rolls. No, but wait a minute. I want to just say, I just want to say this to you, that everything you said about southern Arizona is really true, because I have a dear friend that's a rancher down there. And the minute that he gets out of bed in the morning and pulls on his Wranglers and his boots, he also straps on a .45 pistol for his own safety and security for his family. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Thank you for your call, and Merry Christmas. Thank you. God bless you. Nice lady. Oh, I got to catch up here real quick. Don't forget Four Paws. Oh, my. You know what's coming up this next Saturday at Four Paws at 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. They're going to be having their great big Christmas party. Yeah, open house. Christmas open house with refreshments and special prizes to win. And Santa Claus is going to be there taking pictures of your dogs up on his lap. Great big St. Bernards and Dobermans and everything. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be great. So be sure and be over there at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. My goodness. And if you have to leave for the holidays, remember their motto. You leave them, they love them. And it's true. Ruby stayed there, and they really took good care of Ruby, our little mini Aussie. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 438-4444. I'm going to give away some cinnamon rolls real quick, and oh my goodness, I'm running late, so this is for first-time winners only. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, with a great big special. Be sure to call and get your Christmas order in now for pies, rolls, cookies, and bread, sugar cookies, and all the designs and the frostings, and pumpkin roll-ups. I got to have one. Oh my goodness. Sophie's Chatterbox. Here is the question for a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls. Name the actor that was the bear-chasing mountain man in the movie Jeremiah Johnson. And he was also grandpa on the TV series The Waltons. Name the actor. What was his name? That played the bear-chasing mountain man, or bear-chasing him mountain man. And he was also grandpa on the TV series The Waltons. Great character actor. What was his name? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and you'll win a half dozen cinnamon rolls. First-time callers only. Good morning, you're on the air.
Was that Walter Brennan?
No, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it. Not Walter Brennan. Thank you. Come on, somebody else, give me a call. What was the actor's name that was the old bear chaser, and then it turned around and he had the bear chase him right back into the cabin, and he was grandpa on the Waltons also. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. How about Will Gear?
And what's your name?
Diane.
What's your last name, Diane?
Ringle.
Ringle?
Uh-huh.
All right,
like
well...
Ringle, only Ringle.
Oh, there you go. Well, listen, Diane, Ringle, like in jingle, but it's Ringle. You be sure and give a call over to Sophie's Chatterbox. Let them know when you're going to be there for those cinnamon rolls. You are the winner. God bless, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, and keep on, Deb.
All right, thank you so much. There's your winner. Will Gear is the answer. A great, great character actor. And he was the bear chasing, or the mountain man that was getting chased by the bears. He lured him into the cabin, he said. And then he was also grandpa on the Waltons, and he did a great job. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. The barbarous act that took place in California by a husband and wife team of Islamic jihadists, they had to have help. You know, when you look at the situation, let's talk about the guns. Let's talk about where they came from, all the money to buy the weaponry, all the money to buy the chemicals and assistance for making these bombs. Don't give me, well, it was just a husband and wife that went awry. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. They were basically tied to ISIS. And with those ties, don't think for one split second that they didn't have help and assistance with other people in the form of a network living in the area and perhaps even overseas. The gullibility of us that's being perpetrated by this White House and especially this loony president it's mind-boggling. Each and every person should absolutely be worried. I'm not saying we should be petrified and shaking with fear. But we should be very, very worried about what the president didn't say last night. I listened carefully and took notes. I listened to him basically like he did chastise us and Congress and talk about what we need to do or what we shouldn't do. Rather than a president looking at the camera and saying, I know your concerns, your fears, and your worries, but on behalf of the federal government, we are here to do all we can to help and protect you. That was not said. It was basically gun control. It was basically, don't judge the Muslims, that type of thing. And I am really, really concerned about what is going to come out of this. The caller earlier this morning brought up a really good point about no-fly lists. Let me give you, if I may, just a real short story. I was almost put on the no-fly list. I had, and I'm not proud of this, but I had an altercation verbally with a moron, and he was, that worked with the TSA in Los Angeles at Los Angeles International. He was the most rude and most berating and belittling individual that I've ever seen work for a government agency. And I told him so. And a little lady that was working for the airport jabbed me in the ribs and said, sir, you better be careful, because this man is known to really go after people and try to get their names on that no-fly list. So I backed up, bit my tongue, and shut up. But it's easy to have any American put on a no-fly list because of some imbecile that is power-hungry working for the TSA. You say what spawned my reaction to him? Well, it was very simple. For some reason, he looked at me and was absolutely bent on telling me that he didn't like me and didn't trust me. Now, whether I was just one in a series of numbers that he was going to try to show his power to, I have no idea. But he made me a special case in front of everybody else in the line. Take off my shirt. Nobody else was asked to take their shirts off. I was asked to take my shirt off at LAX airport. And he took my shirt, and instead of putting it in a proper plastic container on the roller bars going through the x-ray, he laid my nice clean shirt on the roller bars, and it got clogged in the roller bars, causing grease stains. And I'm not going to sit there and be quiet or even begin to tell you that I took this. I told him what I thought of his idiocy and his incompetency in no uncertain terms. And it was at that juncture that this moron decided to really get tough with me. And I came within centimeters of being put on the no-fly list. It can happen to anybody. So when they say, well, no-fly list, and like the gentleman earlier implied, anybody and everybody could be put on a no-fly list, that is very, very true. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Time for the weather forecast right now, brought to you by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. They've got all the Christmas decor items, and they can help you with all your business awards, your year-end awards made out of crystal and acrylic and wood. Oh, and all the trophies, everything. What a fantastic business. You be sure and check out how they can make special printing on blankets for gifts and everything. It's fantastic. Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off another work week on this Monday, December 7th. Afternoon rain showers is what we're expecting. Slightly breezy winds out of the south, right around 10 miles an hour. High of 42 for today. Tonight, low of 36. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, slightly breezy, high of 48. More rain showers are expected for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs are going to be 48 for Wednesday, 41 for Thursday, and as we move on closer to the weekend on Friday, cloudy skies and 36. Yesterday's high was 40, the overnight low was 20. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. And right now, again, the weather brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. You be sure and get over there and enjoy the store. They wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. And you realize that on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, that day alone, over 200,000 people went down and were new applicants for gun ownership. People are afraid. People are nervous. And people are aware that we have a problem. And I think people are becoming very cognizant that this administration, led by somebody that is absolutely so amateur, he's not even got up to that level of being called an amateur, is doing nothing for our security and our safety. How we could re-elect this buffoon is beyond me, and I said that after the second election. Unbelievable. But now we're stuck with him for another 409 days. What he is going to do in the next 409 days leaves me even more afraid and nervous, downright scared as to what he will impose. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, please. I'd like to hear from you. While I am waiting for your call, please give me a jingle. I'd like to remind you, too, about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my. All 7 locations serving you. And I mean really serving. All you can hear when you drive by one and they're so busy, you can hear those electric wrenches going... I mean, they're changing tires just as fast as they can go. And they've got all the traction tires, all the different treads to get you through all the snow, the ice, and the muck. And they've got all the studded tires, and they got the snow chains. Oh, my, they've got it all for you right there. And they've got the very best in brake service, too. My goodness, the best brake value promise in the industry with professionally trained technicians and, of course, premium quality parts. Front end alignments. Don't let that front end take you off into the barrel pit. Get it checked today. Shocks and struts, batteries, oh yeah, all there at all 7 locations. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Stop in and see them today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. In a very, very serious time, we're in the Christmas holiday season. Merry Christmas to everyone again, but a very serious time. A very susceptible time, if you will. People are going out and shopping, and there's the Christmas gatherings and the church meetings and the special church events and all the shopping malls and everything. People should be out enjoying themselves at this time of the year. But I urge you I was talking to a very dear friend of mine back in New York City day before yesterday on Saturday. I urge you to be cognizant of your surroundings. Be very aware, please. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick this morning is that I was absolutely taken aback by a story by a Maura Judkis of the Washington Post. And the gist of this story is sending thoughts and prayers to somebody a bad thing? I could not believe my ears and my eyes when I started hearing from last week up till this morning. People are saying, oh, well, you Christians, how dare you kind of just cheapen the whole situation by saying we're sending our thoughts and prayers. What? I was so glad that the pastor of our church yesterday had a sermon regarding this. We need more prayer. We need more thoughts and caring, not less. And to the liberals, the Democrats, that were denigrating people for issuing their thoughts and prayers for the families of the victims and the families of the ones that are in the hospital clinging to life through resuscitation devices. Yes, I will continue to extend my thoughts and my prayers. And I salute not only Ben Carson, but most of the Republicans, because they did send out their thoughts and prayers. And he, for one, said he understands the power of prayer. And his press secretary, Deanna Bass, said, I'm sure he'll continue to pray for this nation, as we all should. Because right now, we've got a lot of problems. And I was reading also in a USA Today article last week, I got to share this with you, that a former Utah Jazz player, John Amici, a gay basketball player, so it doesn't surprise me as to where he's coming from, he was against the public prayers and the issuance of public prayers because he called the actions of those involved infuriating and obviously narcissistic. How dare he? How dare this man who uncovered his sex-perverted life, how dare he condemn Christianity and Christians? And saying because they issued thoughts and prayers, they were infuriating and narcissistic. How dare he? All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A little bit later on this morning, I'm going to tell you about a federal judge that has decided with the stroke of his pencil, he's not smart enough to use a pen, to stop a nativity scene in a high school play. And these kids have put this together for years and years and years. It's been one of their great big events, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on this morning. Calls are welcome. Come on, give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I also want to mention again, make sure that you're hearing everything that's going on around you. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call them today at 312-0957. And another quick reminder, Deanna and I are looking forward to this. It's going to be so much fun. Denny's Old-Fashioned Merry Christmas. Man, oh man, we've got everything lined up thanks to some other folks for helping us too, like the Burley Choir that's going to be there singing Christmas carols, and my old buddy, and that's Ken Mort's going to have a sound system there. He's going to be singing. It's just one of those deals where you go in that morning of December 16th at Denny's, and Christmas carolers dinners and door prizes and Santa Claus, loot in the boots so that we can help some of the needy families around the area. All of this and more at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley on December the 16th. I just urge you to come by and be a part of it. Great food, great event, Denny's Old Fashioned Christmas. Please be there, okay? All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Some of the things, excuse me, that are coming up this month that I've got just a minute I want to take my time and tell you about is we're going to have Denny's Old Fashioned Christmas next week on the 16th, and then the week after that on the 23rd will be my Zebeth Ranch open house on the radio, and boy, we're going to have all kinds of goodies and everything. You're welcome to stop by and say howdy. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, Zeb, a moment ago you talked about the shootings in San Bernardino and those two people being linked to ISIS. And I think it's important to not fall into the president's trap. Those two shooters, now remember there were 3 shooters in the beginning, and now that's gone down to 2, which that's another story. Those people are clearly linked to Islam. And what Obama is trying to do is make it look like there's just a rogue element of Islam that's creating all the trouble, and that's a distraction. ISIS is made up largely of mercenaries. And as you know, mercenaries play for whichever side pays the most money.
Well, I said that earlier this morning, caller, and your words are reverberating exactly what I said earlier. Yes, there were people involved. Yes, there was a network. Yes, there's a co-joining at the hip with ISIS and terrorist organizations. These two people didn't have the money. He was only making less than $50,000 a year. They didn't have the money. She had all the contacts and everything. Absolutely. And for the president or anybody in government to infer that this wasn't a network attack is absolutely a fool.
Oh, right. And that's but what's happening with the narrative from the day of the shooting on, now that the FBI come out and started using words with Islam, then now you have the president having to make a Sunday night appearance and then try to lecture us and set us all straight on who the players are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the man. I mean, you know. So.
No, but your point right there about a Sunday night speech, 13-minute speech that told us absolutely nothing, and all it did is solidify that this man and his strategy leaves a lot to be wanting for the security of this nation.
Well, and for me, it told me a great deal. It further cements the idea this guy's a Muslim. And he's doing everything possible to promote Islam in our country to take it over. And yeah, he didn't speak as my president. He speaks as the president of the Muslim organization. And I don't want to lose focus or get lost in these terminologies of ISIS and these little groups when it comes right back to Islam.
Absolutely.
Period.
Appreciate your call as always. Thank you very much. I've got to run to the news right now from CBS. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, also some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always the Georgia shores of Western Waste Services. We care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at Georgia shores of Western Waste Services.
Oh my, they can do it all for you. They can put you on the route service and get rid of your garbage. They'll be there like clockwork every week to pick it up. They've got all the porta potties. They've got all the dumpsters in various sizes. Locally owned and operated, getting rid of your garbage. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service, 734-6969. Want to also mention to you, we're very appreciative of our Merry Christmas wishes this hour from Joe Taylor, 1826 Overland and Burley with Carey and Adams Realty. Buying or selling real estate, you give a call to the man that knows, Joe Taylor, at 678-9400. Along with K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Burley. They've got it all. I mean, whatever you need, forklifts, concrete tools, backhoes, pivots, compressors, everything. And they wish you a Merry Christmas from K&R Rental, along with our great friends at Haskin Insurance Service. Haskin Insurance Service at 629 Fremont Street in Rupert. Hello, folks. How you doing? They want to wish all their customers a very happy and safe Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There you go. Merry Christmas from those great folks this morning. By the way, too, before we get Jeff Dickens on the air, I know he's chomping on the bit. I want to remind you, too, about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff. And they are really working hard to serve you and your families and help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. Always remember this, with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. These are really nice people serving you, and they'll travel to the rural towns and churches to help you with the arrangements. Please give them a call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. I've been looking forward to this interview for the last couple of days, and I'd like to say good morning to the Deputy Research Director for the Media Research Center, Jeff Dickens. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Brett.
You know, Jeff, I don't even know what to say or how to get started. I am so mad. I am so absolutely enraged at our government or lack of, the president or lack of, for the way that we are handling our security, our safety to fight an insidious group of killers. Terrorism from ISIS that is encroaching upon everyone's life like a cancer. What are your thoughts? Am I being way too theatrical?
Well, of course, here at the MRC and on newsletters, we've been tracking how the media has covered this issue, and quite frankly, it's sadly predictable, but it's disgusting to see how they went after this from day one. Instead of focusing on radical Muslim Islamic jihadists, they focused on people of faith in this country, saying, the infamous New York Daily News cover saying God isn't fixing this, and attacking GOP candidates for offering, of all things, thoughts and prayers. And then they turned from going after people of faith in this country to responsible gun owners, saying guns are the problem. Basically focusing a lot of their energy on everywhere but where it needs to be focused on, which is, of course, as everyone understands, jihadist terrorists.
You know, when you talk about this prayer issue, and I was absolutely appalled. I'm a Christian and very proud of it, and I will stand up for my faith and my beliefs. And if I want to say I'm praying for someone, I will pray for someone. If I want to issue a Bible verse on this program, I will issue a Bible verse on this program. But to have the likes of the liberal left condemn me and other Christians for our thoughts and our prayers towards the victims and their families, I find that highly offensive and almost a fightable, if you will, act.
Right, well, it wasn't just the New York Daily News cover. You had people on the morning shows. You had Al Roker on NBC's Today Show holding up the cover of the New York Daily News and kind of just sort of, and then other members, too, of the media. I'm almost celebrating this cover. And, being frustrated that, these conservative politicians are offering their thoughts and prayers and not doing enough on gun control. And again, missing the main point of going after terrorism. The president himself can barely utter the word. You have to drag him taking and screaming to say the word. And it's the same with the media. MSNBC, I think, finally on Friday, had a headline, headline that, or a chyron that said, is it possible terrorism was responsible for this? By that time it was obvious that it was terrorism. So it's just, it's really remarkable to see how the liberal media just does not want to call the enemy what it is.
Okay, Jeff, you're closer to this than anybody else that I know. I mean, you're right in the fray. You're right in the middle of all the oatmeal, if you will. And why? Why is the media in general a basic coward or a liar, if you will, for not saying it is Islamic jihadists, Islamic terrorists, Muslim terrorists? Why are they so afraid? Why are they so condescending to us as Christians and also the Jewish community and trying to protect the Muslims? Why?
I don't know. I completely understand the motivations, but all I know is that interviews much as we're tracking what they're saying, what they're doing. We know that they're basically Democrats. We know that they consistently will promote whatever the agenda the Democratic Party wants, hence the attack on gun rights. But why they refuse to or seem reluctant to label these, terrorist acts and linking them to radical jihadist movements, I don't understand that.
All right, let me ask you another part of this equation, Jeff, and you study this, you see the stories coming across your desk every day. Why isn't peaceful Islam or peaceful Muslims in general, why aren't they going out and addressing this problem, condemning the problem, and trying to correct the problem internally? I don't hear anything.
I think there's some of that going on. You don't see it reported a lot. But I know that there's some organizations that are working to do that, but there needs to be obviously a lot more of it. It would be nice to see if that the liberal media would, instead of just focusing 100%, almost 100% on gun owners and people of faith, that they focus more on what can be done within modern modern Islam, and put more pressure on them to address the problem within their own faith. Maybe they're just overly sensitive. They don't want to, quote unquote, offend a minority in this country. But I mean, look, you don't have to be offensive about it. You can just say what it is, and not be afraid to point it out. And this is something that the liberal media and even President Obama seem reluctant to do.
Okay, now tell me what. Now you study this. You're a research director. What honest good came out of that speech last night from Obama? To me, it was an admonishment against me. It was telling me, hey, don't you dare speculate on anybody that might be bad. Don't you dare profile. And by the way, we're going to take your guns away. That's basically the gist of what I got out of it last night. I didn't get any secure feelings from his speech whatsoever. Did you?
I think, I'll just say this. I think in times like this, in times of a national tragedy and a terrorist attack, I think the president's role as the commander-in-chief is to unify people. And what we've seen in the last few days, is President Obama and the liberal media, instead of unifying, because this is an attack this is an attack on everyone. Republicans, Democrats, conservative liberals. When you have a terrorist attack like this, it's attacking all of us. It's attacking the United States of America. And instead of, bringing people together and uniting us in a common cause and a common goal, you see the liberal media and President Obama pointing fingers at responsible gun owners, pointing fingers at people of faith, and saying, that somehow they're the ones getting in the way of solving this problem. It's really, quite frankly, very frustrating.
I gotta have you tell my audience about this dimwit, Harry Houck with CNN, speculating that, quote unquote, some right-wing group could be the San Bernardino shooters. Please tell me more about that.
Right, well, this goes along with their agenda. I don't know if you remember this, but back, I think it was the rural Colorado theater shooting. You had ABC's Brian Ross. He found that there was someone who had the same name as the shooter, and found out that he was part of the Tea Party, which was, of course, completely wrong and inaccurate. But this is what they do. They almost are crossing their fingers, hoping that they can blame this somehow, blame these terrorist attacks on right-wingers, and then you'll remember too, back in the Oklahoma City bombing, they went after conservative talk radio, saying that somehow they incited Timothy McVeigh. This is who they are. They want to find a way to shift the agenda against conservatives.
You know, Jeff, bear with me on this, but think about this, and you can tell me I'm wrong if you don't like this analogy. But we're celebrating today Pearl Harbor Day. 74 years ago, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and we lost 2,400 American men and women at Pearl Harbor. And when FDR got up and made his speech, he wasn't politically correct. He said the Japanese, inclusive. Now today we have to be so careful and say, oh, wait a minute, radical Islam, can't say that, can't say radical Muslims, can't say radical jihadists. Look at where we've gone downhill with political correctness and really a infringement of our free speech over the years.
Well, right, and you know, the liberal media has been a big part of that and advancing political correctness, and it's now lethal. I mean, you saw the reports. You had people and neighbors and friends and family, well, specifically their neighbors, that were afraid. They saw suspicious behavior. They saw, boxes being delivered at all hours of the night to his house of the terrorists. And they heard, noises coming from the garage all hours of the night, but they didn't want to say anything or report anything to the authorities because they were worried that they would be called, be accused of racial profiling and being called racist. The whole saying, if you see something, say something. Well, they saw something, but they didn't want to say something. Why? Because the liberal media and the liberal culture have made it such that you can't, they scared them. They were afraid of being called a racist. And instead of actually doing something that could have prevented this tragedy.
Jeff, in your opinion, and again, because of the nature of your job and all the items that cross your desk, how concerned are you on a scale of 1 to 10 that this is now just the tip of the iceberg?
Again?
I said, how concerned are you that the attacks in San Bernardino are just the tip of the iceberg and we'd better beware?
Well, no, this is an ongoing fight, so I would say definitely an 8 or a 9. I think, the enemy has declared their intentions, and everyone, but apparently people at ABC, CBS, and NBC, and MSNBC, and CNN refuse to notice or acknowledge it. They're coming to attack here. They're radicalizing people that are already here. And they're trying to send people over, and they have sent people over. And, our law enforcement agencies are trying to do the best they can. Our intelligence agencies are trying to do the best they can. But, yeah, this is a war. And I just wish the liberal media and the president would say as much. It's a war. They declared war on us.
Absolutely.
Really.
We have a caller with a question. Quickly, caller. I'm almost out of time. Go ahead, please.
Hey, I'm really upset because I think we are all a bunch of cowards, and I don't understand why we cannot see it and say it, that political correctness is communism. It is here, and people, please wake up. It's part of Marxism. When they won't let you say words, that's communism. Just say it. It's the same thing.
I appreciate it.
I just don't get it. You've heard people talk about communism being the downfall of our country because we'll crumble from within. Wake up.
Thank you very much for your call.
Marxism, fascism, communism, they are all the same thing with the same result.
Absolutely.
And that's political correctness is the beginning, and it started a long, long time ago.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your call, and I'll have Jeff respond to that. I think the lady is 100% right. This is a liberal left motive of trying to sustain and maintain the stoppage of our First Amendment rights. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's a big part of Marxism, Solinsky tactics. Change the language, or make it, or take control of the language. And again, this idea that, you had neighbors that were afraid to report to authorities suspicious behavior because they were afraid of being politically incorrect. That's where we are. That's where the liberal media has taken us.
Jeff, let me ask you this question, and this is really, I know it's a hard answer. I know that before I even ask it. But how can we in this country, the greatest free country ever in the history of the world, how can we force, maybe that's a bad word, how can we force or coerce journalism to start being honest with us again?
That's tough. I mean, you can certainly let your opinions known with through contacting the networks, maybe contacting the network presidents, the board members, because at the end of the day, these are companies that have board members to answer to. There's many things that you can do. You can go to Newsbusters and you can read up what's going on, and you can go into your friends, your neighbors, people that are like-minded, or people that are on the fence that you can get to, and bring that information to them. Because the only way that you can counteract a movement is with another movement, and you have a leftist movement in this country, and they've won some battles clearly with the language. I mean, the political correct issue, and you have to be armed with the information to know what's going on and what they're doing, and that's the first step. Is to go to sites like newsbusters.org and to listen to shows like Seb's All at the Ranch and be educated. And then once you're educated, go out there and spread the word.
Are you seeing back there in the land of all the politicians and the left and the right and the liberal and the conservative, are you seeing any changes for the better back there that might start to creep across our country?
Oh, absolutely. It's really heartwarming to see a lot of the response that we get at newsbusters.org from our members and our donors and just people that are sort of new to conservatism. So there are conservatives that are being born every day, and new people that are coming to the fight. But we just have to have more of them. And it's tough when you have a liberal media and a liberal culture. Let's include Hollywood and entertainment culture in that is almost in a way doing their level best to brainwash people into sort of Marxism, and it's a daily fight.
Jeff, I want to extend to you very, very Merry Christmas. And I was reading your bio, and
Merry Christmas to you too, by the way.
By the way, I want to say this before you leave. I understand that you are a avid Washington Redskin fan. Is that right?
Really looking forward to the big game tonight versus our hated rival, the Cowboys.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got to tell you that I don't want to be politically correct, and I say go Redskins, defeat the Cowboys, and my Green Bay Packers are going to be playing the Cowboys next week, so rough them up a little bit tonight, okay?
All right, we'll do our best.
All right, God bless. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Jeff Dickens with the Media Research Center and telling it like it is. That's how it should be in the media. Telling it like it is. Thank you very much for being on the program this morning, Jeff Dickens. And I appreciate that lady's call. She brought up some very good points. God bless you for listening this morning. By the way, I want to say let's ride. How about going over to 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World? Yes, sirree, that's their location, where the fun is sold. You know what? I got to get over there this next week. Maybe this week I can find some time. I want to get over and I want to get a snowplow for my four-wheeler. I really do, because not only can I have fun riding my four-wheeler, I can do some work outside if we get some more of that snow, too, which I know is coming. So they've got all the snowplows for your four-wheelers. They got your snowmobiles. They've got all your fun outside equipment for enjoying the great part of southern Idaho. They've got a great accessory department. They've got a wonderful service department. What more could you ask for? Please get a hold of them today. Stop in. Let's ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really nice people. While you're over, excuse me, I've had this bad throat for about 2 or 3 weeks. I apologize. While you're over in that area of Highway 24 in Rupert, don't forget our really good friends, and that's Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My wife just came in. Deanna's a former CSI College of Southern Idaho cheerleader, and she came in. What was that all about, that little victory dance when you came in the studio before? Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this from people that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. Please, for all your insurance coverage, making sure you're covered, you get a hold of them today. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. Okay. Another reminder, really fast, about what's going to take place on December 16th, a week from this week, Wednesday, on December 16th. We're going to be over at Denny's restaurant for a live broadcast. I'm going to be setting up over there, thanks to all the help at the station and everything, for our Zebeth Ranch Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas. Oh, I am looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the bells ringing and all the carols, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there from 8 to 11 with the Burley Choir. High school choir is going to be singing Christmas carols. Ken Mort's going to be singing Christmas songs, door prizes. Santa Claus is going to be dropping in and looting the boot for our needy families. Come on by. It's going to be one heck of a good time at Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas on December 16th. Don't you miss it. By the way, Santa Claus has already visited this area. Did you know that? Yes, and he stopped in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Yeah, he left off a sleigh full of bunk beds and living room furniture and recliners and chairs at prices that are unheard of, and three-piece occasional tables and sofas, all of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. These are Santa specials, and I'll give you an instance right here. Listen to this. Three-piece occasional tables, your choice, $199. Holy cow, you better get on in there. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Really nice people. Hold on a second. Got to take a drink of water. I want to remind you, too, that, and I'm not going to hide from this, that I think it's imperative that we all learn how to protect ourselves. I think it is imperative at this time in our nation's history that we know how to use a firearm and when to use a firearm and the safety of firearms. And I urge you to stop into Red's Trading Post at 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. The number to call, 733-3546. They've got all the new firearms from Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, and Winchester, and all the ammo and all the accessories. And since 1936 have been in historic Old Town Twin Falls serving you. Remember, Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Let's go to the phone lines, and one of my very favorite people to have on the radio every Monday, Carrie Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Good morning, Carrie. How are you?
Doing well, Zeb. How about yourself?
Well, real good. If you'll just kind of give me a little clue as to what you bought me for Christmas so I don't have to be so wild with anticipation.
Probably something about Planned Parenthood.
Oh, I don't know how to take that. Anyway, boy, I'll tell you what. I think it's time to stop all the hatred and just use common sense. Planned Parenthood is absolutely an insidious organization as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to back off on the verbiage. I think it's absolutely against my Christian values. What are your thoughts?
Well, we were very pleased to see the Senate at the end of last week vote to defund Planned Parenthood and redirect that money towards the thousands of local community health centers that are across this country. The Senate was absolutely right to make this decision. Why in the world are American taxpayers being forced to subsidize a scandal-ridden billion-dollar abortion business? Let's remember, Planned Parenthood gets $500 million per year in taxpayer money. And as we always talk about on your show, Americans shouldn't be forced to give their money to Planned Parenthood, which, as we know, has a long rap sheet of abusive, possibly fraudulent billing practices. As we know, those authenticated undercover videos showed high-level Planned Parenthood doctors and execs trafficking aborted babies' body parts and joking about them callously. We've obviously at Alliance Defending Freedom has issued a report that shows the various clinics around the country that have failed to report sexual abuse of minor girls. So the Senate was absolutely right in making this historic decision. And this is the first time in our country's history the Senate has voted to do this. And it's expected to pass in the House, and then it's going to go to President Obama's desk. Now, President Obama has already said he will veto it, but just the same, it's certainly an historic step and one that rightfully reflects where the American people's heart is at.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a quick question for you, Carrie. Go ahead, caller, please.
Yes, after the Planned Parenthood shooting, the people that were defending it had press conferences and they made statements, and they were so shameless and arrogant. And you said to yourself they wanted to blame right-wing rhetoric about this. And the truth of the matter is they're so guilty, but they're shameless, and somehow there's no stopping them unless we somehow, like you say, can defund them. I'll hang up.
He brings up a really good point, Kerry. The demonization and the villainization of anybody that's against Planned Parenthood. They will go, they being the left, they will go to any method necessary to come out and totally try to destroy their lives. I'd like you to comment on that.
Well, that PR attack that Planned Parenthood waged in response to that awful shooting in Colorado, again, undermines common sense. Pro-life people, by definition, are what? Pro-life. They condemn violence in that awful shooting that happened at the Colorado Planned Parenthood facility, just like they condemn the murdering of babies every single year. This is a pro-life, pro-peace organization. And what really struck me when I saw how Planned Parenthood attempted to use that tragedy and politicize it into basically to a censorship tool to shut down pro-life, pro-peace speech about what they're actually doing, I couldn't help but think of someone like Martin Luther King Jr. and all that he had to do in order to push the ball forward with civil rights. Our country had a terrible history of oppressive and oppressive actions towards African Americans. We have a history of awful subjugation, and if not for a peaceful protester who stood up and said, no, this has got to end. This is not what life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is really about. If he hadn't done that, where would we be today? And as we know, Martin Luther King Jr. lost his life in that peaceful protest, and I couldn't help but wonder, would Planned Parenthood advocate for his speech to be shut down if this was back then? I mean, that's sort of the rationale that they were spouting out, that if you dare to disagree or address or acknowledge the facts of what are going on at their facilities, you should be shut down and you shouldn't have a right to speak. And that's not just anti-American, but it's also very disturbing. What kind of society do we live in if those who want to acknowledge some of the grossest social, injustices and human rights violations of our time are forced to be stifled? That's a problem.
I think you've touched on right there what I was going to ask you about next. I mean, on the one hand, you have the facts. You have the videos. You have the reports that have been proven about what is going on behind closed doors at Planned Parenthood. You have the doctors with statements that make one question how they could ever be a part of a Hippocratic oath. And then on the other side, you have a leftist ideology that is going to come out and besmirch and absolutely run down anybody that's against them. And it's evil against good, and I'll tell you something, I'm worried about good standing up and fighting.
Yes, but I think that the Senate vote on Friday really shows that, look, the American people are speaking up. They're saying, look, we don't accept these kinds of this kind of abuse of our taxpayer dollars to fund this scandal-ridden organization that receives $500 million every year. The common sense solution is to redirect this money to these local community health centers that will provide all of these women's health services to the women who need them most. So I think that vote last week really showed that the American people are speaking up, and they are standing for what's good and what's right by all human beings.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to end this story on a negative thought, but I am very worried about Obama. This man and all of his leftist ways, if that bill sits on his desk, I see where he's going to break an arm trying to hurry to veto this thing. Then what? What do we do after that?
Well, if he does, he does. But I think what it does is it paves the way for a pro-life president, if that person gets elected in the 2016 election, to have something that they can already put their stamp of approval on, that they know the American people have spoken, the House and the Senate agree. No more taxpayer money should be subsidizing a scandal-ridden organization like Planned Parenthood, and they will be set up to go. So even if President Obama does veto, which he says he will, which is very sad, obviously, when you think of all of the unborn women who are not having a say in this, and of course the unborn boys at all, but the other side likes to characterize this as a women's issue, and I always think, what about all of the unborn women who are not able to speak for themselves? It's such a tragedy. But even if he does, it's still a historic step, and I think the stage will be set for a president, if they're pro-life, to have some very good tools in their hands if and when they come into office.
You know, the next story that I wanted to visit with you about this morning, Carrie, you know my feelings on this. Common sense and decency and morality have just absolutely left the scene. And I'm talking about the insurgence of the bathroom bill that came to high priority in Houston, Texas. Fortunately, it was voted down. But there are other offshoots of this bill that have crept up around other parts of the country, even including here in the state of Idaho. I want you to give my audience kind of a foundation as to how we should be and why we should be concerned about this idiocy of students being able to say they're transgender and go into either girls and or boys' locker rooms.
Yeah. Protecting students from inappropriate exposure to the opposite sex is not just legal, but it's necessary, like you're saying, to protect student privacy and safety. This is a common sense idea that many, many Americans share. And what's interesting is that in Gloucester County in Virginia, there was a situation with a student there, a biological female who is struggling with her gender identity issues and is currently identifying as male, and asked the school to make a number of accommodations for her, and the school did and actually allowed her to use the restroom in the nurse's office. But this girl said that was stigmatizing and that she wanted to use the boys' restroom. Well, the school principal actually let her use that boys' restroom for a number of weeks, and parents and concerned citizens complained, and the school board ended up passing just a rule that said, for the sake of safety and privacy of our students, we are going to limit bathroom and locker room use to biological gender. Well, the ACLU stepped in and is suing the school district over this policy. And this case, it actually went to the federal district court level, which is the lowest level of the federal court system, and the court said, no, this is fine. We're talking about safety, we're talking about privacy, the school voted on this is the right thing to do. And now it's up on appeal. The ACLU has appealed it, and it will be in the Fourth Circuit, the next level in the federal court system, which is located down in Virginia, and this is going to be argued at the end of January. But this is a very important case to watch, because it's the first time this is being argued within these parameters within the federal court system. So this could have some precedential weight to it, if you will. So this is a very important case to keep an eye on.
Carrie, have we lost our minds? I mean, when you sit here and you talk about stories like this, 10 years ago, honestly, and you know this is true, 10 years ago, you and I would not even have conceived that this idiocy, incompetency, and this sleaze would ever permeate itself as a national attack on what's good and what's immoral. It's coming up every single day of the week. When are good people going to stand up and say enough?
what's interesting about this particular situation is that the Gloucester School District policy, they didn't just say, okay, this student must stay in their biologically assigned bathroom and restroom. They made very reasonable accommodations for this particular student, but that wasn't good enough. And so really, that's, sort of the big picture issue of what's before the Fourth Circuit. And it's interesting because the majority of the people who showed up at these meetings, who voted for these policies, all were in favor of protecting the privacy and safety of all of these students while saying, yes, of course, we can have some reasonable accommodations for those few students who may be struggling with their with gender issues. And again, legal case law, precedent is on the side of safety and privacy. The ACLU and those who want these kinds of, quite frankly, dangerous bills often say that federal law says you must do this. Well, not at all. In fact, there are so many court rulings, or at least a few, that support the ability of public schools to limit restrooms to members of the same sex. It doesn't violate Title IX, which is something you'll hear thrown around a lot with respect to these issues. And quite frankly, there's nothing in our laws that require male and female students to use these restrooms and locker rooms of the opposite gender, especially during one of the most crucial physically developmental time periods of their life. This is a very sensitive time period for these students. And so it's very important that school districts make sure that they are making top priority the privacy and safety of their students, because quite frankly, if they don't, they could be on the line. There could be some serious liability issues if they don't. And so it's very important for the parents, for the students, and for the school districts to keep making students' health and, their privacy and safety rights at the top of their priority list.
I was reading the cheat sheet that was sent to me on this story, and I have to totally 1,000% agree with Alliance Defending Freedom Senior Counsel Jeremy Tedesco when he said, quote, any privacy and safety policy should respect all children because every child matters. No policy should be tailored to a few students at the expense of others, and that's the whole key. One or two people complain, and we seem to cater to those numbers. I'm of the mood now with what's going on in this country. Sit up, shut up, and go in the corner. I am sick and tired of the majority not ruling anymore.
Yeah, and again, I think you hit a key point in that quote you just read. Every child matters, right? So every child's safety and privacy matters. Boys, girls, those struggling with gender issues, it matters. And that's why the model policy that Alliance Defending Freedom has been sending out to school districts across the country is a win-win. It protects the safety and privacy rights of everyone and is sensitive to the child's needs, the child who may be struggling with gender identity issues.
Carrie, this isn't fair for me to do this, but I'm just going to ask you if you've heard anything about the Elkhart High School Christmas concert and a federal judge saying they couldn't do their live nativity scene. Have you heard anything more about this?
I haven't, actually, unfortunately.
Well, it's just one of the other attacks on Christmas, and I'm very concerned about this, and I thought I'd ask you about it. Any other stories that you want to comment on quickly before I let you go this morning?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered the two pretty thoroughly this morning.
Well, I will be watching every day at exactly 3:37 outside the ranch house door for FedEx to drop off my Christmas present. God bless you and Merry Christmas.
Great. Thanks, Zach.
All right, take care. Carrie Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom, a wonderful, wonderful young lady, and wow. I've commented on this 1,000 times in the past, and I'm probably going to do it 1,000 times in the future. God doesn't make mistakes. And to these sick, perverted transgenders, pushing their way to the forefront and demanding, whether it's a boy that thinks he's a girl or a girl that thinks she's a boy, demanding that they could have the open door policy to go into the locker rooms, restrooms, etc., just on what they perceive that they want to be. Enough. Common sense and morality. Please good people stand up and stop this perverted movement. Time for the weather, and right now, Wheels has got his finger perched above the button and ready to give us the weather for this hour with Gina. Go ahead, please.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off another work week on this Monday, December 7th. Afternoon rain showers is what we're expecting. Slightly breezy winds out of the south, right around 10 miles an hour. High of 42 for today. Tonight, low of 36. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, slightly breezy, high of 48. More rain showers are expected for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs are going to be 48 for Wednesday, 41 for Thursday. And as we move on closer to the weekend on Friday, cloudy skies and 36. Yesterday's high was 40. The overnight low was 20. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
There's good Gina. I bit my tongue. Did you ever do that? Just go all of a sudden, start a sentence, and go, oh, wow, that hurt. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Gina, for an excellent forecast. And what is the temperature outside right now? I'll take a look right outside my studio. Hold on just a second. And I'm at 47 and saying goodbye to a lot of the snow that is outside on my driveway and in my arena. Calls are welcome, and I really would appreciate it at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to ask you a question for the remaining time in this hour. Did the event that happened last week in San Bernardino, California, the terrorist attack, a premeditated terrorist attack on innocent people, what did that make you change as far as your philosophy, or maybe change as far as what you're going to be doing during the Christmas holidays, or change your thoughts as to where you might go or might not go? Did it or didn't it? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Your question I can easily answer. I've always done this, but I watch my surroundings all the time, constantly. I am out delivering all the time. I never take the same route more than once if I can help it. I never travel a specific route at a certain time. And even more so now, I even told my wife about things. You need to pay attention to what vehicles are parked where, who's around you. And if you go somewhere else and you notice that same vehicle in 2 or 3 different places, or the people, watch their situation. Watch the way they act. They're nervous. Then you need to get out of there and call some help. Find some help. There is something going on.
Yeah, and I will say this. I want to jump in and say something. And when you talk to somebody that's an authority, a policeman or a security guard, don't stand there and say it and then walk away. Demand, absolutely demand that they take an action on it.
I agree. It's their job and their duty.
Absolutely.
It's their job and their duty, and it is our job and our duty as citizens to inform them, to help them. They can't see everything. Like you mentioned, I don't know how many thousands of times, police officers and the law enforcement cannot be everywhere all the time in an instant.
Absolutely.
It is up to us to protect ourselves and our families and our neighbors, and if without the help, they can't do it. It's been shown.
Absolutely, Riley. Appreciate it. God bless you, and Merry Christmas to you, my friend. Thank you so much.
You too.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please. Caller, you're on the air. No, they're gone. I don't know what happened, Wheels, but they're not on the air. So if they call back, put them back on. Calls are welcome. Please give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The question that I was asking a moment ago, and I would appreciate it in the time remaining, give me a call and let me know your thoughts. We have to be... Yes, go ahead, Wheels.
The caller's back on.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Go, please.
Good morning, Zeb. And in answer to your question, oh, yeah, this was definitely premeditated because of what the law enforcement found within their homes and within the information they got off their computers and stuff. It's absolutely premeditated.
Well, you would look at the pipe bombs and look at the bomb-making contents that they had at their home. Look at the weaponry. Look at the times that they went to the shooting range to practice. And now it's known that they went to a vacant home to practice the same maneuvers and everything. And to the idiot lefties, the liberals that haven't got the common sense that God gave a billy goat, they're still saying, oh, it might have been workplace violence. They're a bunch of fools to say something like that.
Well, and the most foolish thing that I just heard was about this one feller that said that, oh, this has got to be a white wing group that did this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, the left is always going to find some means or method to minimize us as far as being whites, Christians, and conservatives, and that's why I'm urging everybody to stand up and really take a stand on this issue.
Well, I did what you suggested a couple of weeks ago. I went out and I bought me a new firearm.
Good for you. Good for you. And learn, I'm sure I don't have to tell you this, but learn all the proper safety techniques and everything else. But I'm so glad that you did, because we are the first line of our defense, and those that live with us are loved ones, and it's not the responsibility of the police and sheriff and everybody to be there at a drop of a hat.
Absolutely, because they can't be everywhere all the time. We have to be the first line of defense. We have to be the first responders in an incident like that when it affects us directly. And we have to take out the threat and not be afraid to stand up and say, look, this was a threat. I felt threatened. I had to take the perpetrator out to protect myself and my family and even the other citizens around us.
Yeah. I appreciate your call back on this. Thank you so much. Have a great day and Merry Christmas to you.
You too. Happy Merry Christmas to you too.
All right. Thank you. You know, if you're going shopping, if you're going to a holiday party, if you're going to some kind of a restaurant festivity or whatever, I urge you, and I'm not being facetious at all, I'm being just deadpan serious. Be cognizant of what's going on. Know your surroundings. And realize that there are bad people out there. Now, somebody said to me the other day on Friday, I think it was, oh, well, we live in a very conservative area and the chances of having something happen here are minuscule or non-existent. And I thought, you fool. You fool. It could be anywhere, at any time, on anybody's calendar. And I urge you to really, really see something, say something. And to the lady down in San Bernardino, I wonder, and I feel so sorry for her in some respects, that saw that there was an activity going on in the Farouk's garage, but she was afraid to say something. She was afraid to get involved because she was afraid of being called a bigot, a hate monger. She was afraid of being called a racist. And because she was afraid to say something, 14 people died, 21 people were injured, and hundreds of lives that are associated with those people have been shattered. I am not at all going to be concerned about being called a racist or a bigot or a hate monger, because in today's age, in these times, we have to be extremely careful. And I damn sure don't care about hurting somebody's feelings. Do you? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Coming up next hour, we're going to be talking to our friends over at the Minidoka Memorial Hospital. I believe Roseanne Egan is going to be on the program with us. And then at 10:32, one of my dearest friends, George Mass, is going to be here to give a very fitting tribute to December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, and the horrors of being thrust into World War II. All of that coming up this next hour. Another quick reminder. Coming up on December 16th, Denny's Old Fashioned Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'll get to ring the bell every time I say that. There you go. Merry Christmas. And we're going to be broadcasting live over at Denny's at 611 Overland on the 16th of December. Christmas carolers with the choir from Burley and door prizes, Loot in the Boot, Santa Claus, Ken Mort. Everybody's going to be a lot of fun. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds. Real fast. Go.
Yeah, okay, Zeb. What bothers me a lot is how many of these people that are pouring into this country disappear and we don't know where they are.
Yeah. You know, that was in the book Martin Moyer wrote, Twilight in America. He made that inference that there's a lot of people that have come here. We don't know where they are, what they're doing, etc. And it's a real scare. Tony, God bless you and Mary, and let me be one of the first to wish you a blessed Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb.
God bless you. We're going to take a little break right now for the news from CBS. Don't go away. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 3. Kind of a gray day out there today. However, our little beacon of sunshine just came into the studio, George Mass, and he's going to be here at 10:30 this morning, and we're looking forward to having him on the air. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Thank you very much. You know what? On days like this, it seems like your hunger gets so extreme, and about this time of the morning, I'm starving. Oh my goodness. Well, the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley, here is their special for today. This sounds great. Pork tacos with corn lime salsa. Oh, I love corn lime salsa. Served with rice and super salad. Oh my good. I got to say it again. It sounds so good. I'm going to start drooling on the microphone. Pork tacos with corn lime salsa today at the Chadwick Sports Grill. If George wasn't so cheap, he'd buy me lunch. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. And oh, by the way, too, you know what's going to happen over there this next Friday night? Deanne and I got to get there. A wine tasting at 6 o'clock at the Chadwick. Bring it on, boys! Wine tasting at the Chadwick. There we go. Oh, my goodness sakes, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I was asking last hour, and I had some people call during the news and that type of thing, but really, with everything that took place last week in San Bernardino, California, and the effects of Islamic terrorism in this country, and ISIS, and they're intertwining like a cancerous web all across our country now, and they're here. Come on, they're here. What's changed in your life? What do you think about maybe going on a road trip, or maybe going to a concert, or maybe the mall shopping? Have you really talked and discussed this? And are you ready for maybe some outlets of security that you should be thinking of? Another person this weekend I was talking to, like I said earlier last hour, oh, Zeb, come on, that's in the bigger metropolis areas. No, it's not. It could be anywhere at any time. Are you making changes in your life? Call me and let me know. And are you ready to, if you see something, say something? Give me a jingle. Want to remind you, while I have just a moment here, waiting for your calls, that on Thursdays we have a special segment called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by some wonderful businesses. A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, where they've got literally, honestly, hundreds and hundreds of new toys, games, puzzles, and books that will entertain and also educate. And don't forget, they've got all kinds of clothing down there, and gift wrapping is free. Merry Christmas from A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, for all your outpatient surgery procedures, you can save a lot of money at the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley. Number to call, find out more, 677-8888. That number again, 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center, along with A Child's World, bringing you School Days in Cassia County. Now give me a call, please. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, George, I'm going to have you pull that microphone over right and close in front of you, real close. Don't drag it on the table if you can't help it. There you go. It makes a real weird noise. Get real close to that. What about you? Do you think I'm maybe crying wolf by saying we need to be much more observant and careful?
No, you're not, Zeb. We need to stay on our toes, and if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's damn well a duck.
You know, in World War II, and we're going to be talking about this at the next half hour, the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor. There was no political correctness then. They were called the Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. But now, today, we have to be so careful, according to our illustrious, fearless leader, Obama, on the verbiage that we use. And I refuse to fall into that category. I'm going to call it what it is.
I agree. And, Zeb, if I may touch on my thoughts of San Bernardino. Those Muslims that attacked the terrorists, they put that pipe bomb in there, and he left. My honest gut feeling is that bomb was supposed to went off, and while all the emergency people went there, they was loaded up to go other places and take some more.
It wasn't just the guns. It wasn't just the pipe bombs. It wasn't just that these were two husband and wife terrorists, Muslim terrorists. It was the fact that there was so much more behind the scenes. It wasn't a workplace violence. I'm mad at you, Fred. Jump up out of your chair and go home. How many people are going to go home, dress up as jihadi terrorists, and come back and commit the atrocities that they did? And like you said, very well point taken, there was something bigger in the offing.
Yeah, they had no, I really believe they had no idea or plans to go back there and open fire on them. Those pipe bombs supposed to take that out. I really believe they're going to hit the schools and other places, and all the cops and everything else down there.
George, do you agree, and it's a pleasure to have you here for a few extra minutes this morning, but it seems like the news media, it seems like this administration with Obama, they are more concerned about protecting the Muslims as an entirety than they really are protecting us and being very remorseful to the victims of who died at that massacre.
It was, and you know, I was just sickened when the DOJ got up there and talked about that anybody that picks on the Muslim children, they're going to prosecute them.
Yeah.
What about the Hispanics, the African Americans, the white people? You know, it's everything curtails around the Muslims.
I've reached a point now where I'm just absolutely going to do everything I can to denigrate political correctness, and for those that are offended by that, fine, take your thumb and your forefinger and turn the dial. But in this country, it's gone to the point of insanity as to where they're trying to protect somebody. They won't use certain words. They're condemning people for using certain words. What happened to our free speech?
Yeah, it's kind of down the tube. It's if the liberals can use it the way they want to, but if we use the same thing, we're either profiling or racist. We're Americans. My God, let's stand up and protect, so many has died for to give us our freedoms.
You know, and the attitude that is being permeated right now, that if you do say something or see something, like this poor lady down in San Bernardino, the guilt that must be weighing on her right now for not saying anything and then seeing all the loss of life, she was afraid of being called a racist, a bigot, and a hate monger. And like I said a few moments ago, I don't care. If I see something that isn't right and doesn't pass the smell test, I'm going to go to an authority or a security guard, and I'm not going to stand there and just say hey, watch out for this guy, or I saw this. I'm going to demand that they take action immediately.
It is, and you know, looking at an individual, especially with you got close neighbors, if they nail you as profiling and are racist, and you have children, they're going to pay the price for you stepping up and doing what you're supposed to.
Absolutely. George, I got to pay some bills here, and then we're going to go over to Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Rogge Auction Company with Ron, Cade, Corey, and Jed, the best doggone auctioneers around. And they say if you're selling your farm and farm equipment, remember Rogge Auction Company, 431-0074, wishing you a very Merry Christmas, as is our dear friend, Representative Fred Wood. Good man, very good man. And he says we live in a blessed country, and we should be very, very happy to live in the United States of America and blessed by God. Thank you, and Merry Christmas from Representative Fred Wood. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our Minidoka Memorial Hospital segment. And our vision of the Minidoka Memorial Hospital is an independent community hospital dedicated to improving the health and well-being of the Mini-Cache area. Your health is very, very important. So work with the best that really care. Your friends and neighbors at Minidoka Memorial Hospital at 1224 8th Street in Rupert. And with us on the phone line right now, Roseanne Egan. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, not bad. Naturally, you listen to this program every day, don't you?
When I can.
That a girl. Good political answer. Now, you are a RN at Minidoka Hospital, and you are what's called the infection control nurse. Could I also say that maybe you're the bug lady, or what do you call yourself?
That's kind of what it's called.
Okay. You know, what about infections, especially at this time of the year? I mean, how concerned should we be about the flu and everything else going around?
I think we should be pretty concerned, and I think we should get the defenses we need by going and getting the flu shots, and those are available at the doctor's offices and the health department, and also at the pharmacies.
Okay.
And all the insurances pay for those, so we should take advantage of what is available for us.
You know, Roseanne, let me ask you, and break this down for me. Now, my wife and I got our flu shots, I think it was back around the middle portion of October. Is that intervening enough time-wise to protect me all through the winter, being that I took it back in October?
Yes, it climaxes 6 weeks after you get it, about 4 to 6 weeks. So usually we don't get the influenza in our community until usually December. Into some years it comes later, between December and February.
Okay.
So usually, yes, we get it early, but sometimes we try to encourage patients to wait till like November, but they get here, people panic, they want the flu shots, so they get them, and we're doing well with them.
Well, what about the fact, though, that does it wear off, and should we get another one?
The CDC does not suggest that at this time.
Okay. So one's enough then?
It is, unless you're little, a child, and the CDC does suggest that when they're little that they do 2 of them. But that's followed through the family doctor and the health department, and they keep that record and make sure that the parents come in and get the second one.
All right. Now, what is the difference, basically? And I've been blessed. I very seldom ever get sick. And watch, tomorrow I'll say that, and I won't be able to get on the air and talk. But what's the difference between a good, hard chest or head cold and the flu?
Well, colds usually do cause headaches and chest congestion and coughing and sore throats and the sneezing. Some body aches, but not a lot, and they can be treated with over-the-counter Tylenol and Motrin, Theraflu, things that are available, nasal sprays that are available. But when you have the flu, you are most likely to have a high fever, and it runs for several days, and you feel like you ache everywhere and can't get out of bed. Extremely fatigued, you're very weak, can't really eat, and you do have a lot of coughing. And they're both caused by viruses.
Okay, now when you say they're both caused by viruses, why? Why are they so prominent? Why do they come up in the fall of the year? Why are we seeing some of the flu's tougher strains? Why?
Do you know most of the flus come from, they originate in Asia, where there is such a high population. And so the CDC always pays attention to what is going on months ahead of time over in Asia. And that's where they go and pick the strains that they put into their flu shots every year. In the last 2 years, they have been able to put 4 strains in the flu shots. It used to only be 3 strains. And now they have 2 A strains and 2 B strains. And this year, it is a really good match. Last year, it wasn't because the virus mutated. But this year, what is in the flu vaccine is what is showing to be the flu viruses that are coming through. So if you have had your flu shot, you will be protected.
Okay, but Roseanne, you said Asia. They send everybody over to Asia, and then they start disseminating what they're going to use for a antivirus vaccine. Why Asia? I'm one of these little kids that likes to keep saying why.
I love your wife. Because of their population and because they live with their animals, and they've got the chickens right there, they've got the pigs right there, and so many of our flus, that viruses, also come from animals. And once they cross from an animal to a human, that's when we have problems.
Oh, okay. So if a guy's going to bed with a chicken, we got a problem.
Well, I think so.
Okay.
But we don't do that here.
Okay. But that's where they come up with the antivirus vaccine, though, right?
It is. That's where they always trigger to go towards, because we certainly don't have the population they have in the Asian countries and those cities, and we don't have those living conditions. And so they always trigger whatever the virus is going to be way before it ever hits America. And so sometimes you hear that the CDC hasn't got the virus quite ready. It's kind of being delayed. And that's because they're still trying to assimilate which one they believe it's going to be.
How safe are those vaccines, Roseanne?
They're very safe. There are people who believe that any immunization or vaccines are not safe, but I get one every year because I work in the population in this community, and I truly believe that people should take advantage of what is available, because medical and medicine have progressed so far that we have it. We need to be using it.
Okay, let's get a little scenario here. Let's say that I get out of bed tomorrow morning and I feel like I got run over by a stagecoach and 8 horses, and I'm stiff and I'm sore and I'm all plugged up, and I think, oh no, I got the flu. Should I go ahead and go to work anyway?
I would not. And certainly don't go to work with a fever. You need to stay home from school and from work or from church or any commitments that you have until you've gone 24 hours after you've broken a fever.
Okay. Now, what about little things? And this is one of my pet gripes, okay? I can't stand it when I know someone has coughed in... Hello?
I'm still here.
Okay. Do you have an alert going off, or are we under attack, or what was that?
The office is going off.
Oh, my goodness. What about hand washing? Talk about that a little bit.
Hand washing is your number one defense against flu, and so is cough hygiene, because the way you get flu and colds is through airborne droplets. So you have all of that going on. So I always have alcohol with me, Prel, whatever, because I tell people when I've talked to the Rotary and I've talked to the Kiwanis, I said, how many people go to the grocery store, take the wipe the grocery cart and then head off to go do their grocery shopping.
Right.
And almost every hand went up. And then I asked them how many wait the 5 minutes for the dry time. And every hand went down.
Oh, my.
They said, we didn't know about that. And I said, that's the kill time for something to work, like your Lysol wipes. So I said, I know I won't do that because I'm impulsive. I want to go get my shopping done. So when I'm done shopping, I use my alcohol wipes. When your hands are visibly dirty, you need to be washing with soap and water. And at home, when you have those kind of illnesses, either colds or flu, you need to be cleaning with either the Lysol or Clorox wipes, or you need to use a diluted bleach solution to help kill all that virus so that not everybody else gets sick.
Okay.
And then with your cough hygiene, you need to make sure you're using tissues and throwing them away. And if someone is truly sick, that you're disposing of the trash every day, so that they're not sitting around in your home.
Okay, because once it starts, it's going to make a circle around everybody, isn't it?
It does.
Now, you were talking about getting sick and not going to school, not going to work. For how long? I mean, how long does this stay as an infectious virus?
Usually at least 24 hours, so that's after the fever has broken. So that's why we don't want people out in the community. And then we have people who go to the doctor and they don't feel good and they have influenza or they have a cold and they're asking for antibiotics.
Yeah.
And the doctor tells them no antibiotics. And they don't understand that antibiotics are to fight bacteria. And both of these are viruses. And so antibiotics will not help. That's why the doctor always tells them rest, fluid, Tylenol, Motrin, Mucinex, over-the-counter nasal sprays, over-the-counter Theraflu. And they get very frustrated, and they say the doctor didn't do anything for me. Well, the doctor's protecting them because we as a society have used antibiotics so much that we are becoming antibiotic resistant.
Let me say something to you, and as a nurse that knows, you can correct me or agree with me. I think as a society we've turned into too many crybabies, and we run to the doctor at a drop of a hat, when really if you just stay home, shut up, and take it easy for 24 hours, you may feel a lot better.
That's very true, but I have to be a professional one, so yes. From the society that you and I grew up in, we didn't ever go to the doctor until it was truly an emergency or you were on your deathbed, because you were treated at home with the Tylenol, the Motrin, the fluids, the chicken noodle soup, and rest. But nowadays people don't do those things, and I don't know if it's because we live in a different society or because they look at the internet and it tells them seek medical attention for this or that, but sometimes we need to just say, you know what, this is just what this is. Let's just give it some time. And time is to your advantage in all of this.
Absolutely. I will say, and I don't mean this facetious at all, that I think that we've lost our toughness as a people, where in years gone by we used to say, hey, I got the flu, I'm going to wait a little bit, I'm going to get up in a couple of days and hit the road running. And I think we run to the doctor way too fast these days. Your response?
I agree with that, but you know what? There are also workplaces and schools that require a doctor's excuse if you're not at work.
Okay.
And so on the other side of that coin, we have these other things that we have to be accountable for. So if I go to work and I can't go to work because I'm sick, and if I miss 2 days of work, I have to have a doctor's excuse. That puts us in a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
So, we as a society have pushed the pendulum the other way with that trust. And did they really call in sick because they're sick, or did they call in sick because they didn't want to go to work?
So, is there a number if people have questions about some of the things we're talking about, the cold and the flu season and vaccinations and everything? Can they call you up on the phone and say, Roseanne, I'm sick, what do I do?
They can call any of the nurses here, and usually we will tell them what we can tell them, but we cannot diagnose or treat over the phone. Their best bet is to try to call the doctor's office and talk to the office nurse and leave a message, and I've not had any problems anyone ever not calling me back. And if they have questions, they can also call their pharmacy, and the pharmacist can tell them if there are certain over-the-counter medications they can take with their routine medications, because there are a lot of people that are on routine heart medications or blood pressure medications or diabetes that kind of interact. And that way the pharmacists know their medications better than anybody, and they can guide them on what to take over the counter.
I tell you what, Roseanne Egan, a very nice lady over, I bit my tongue, I'm sorry. What do you do for a bite tongue? Anyway, I want to say thank you very much for being on the program. Infection control nurse, and she knows all about the colds and flu, and I really appreciate her coming on the program. And Roseanne, may I wish you and all the staff over at Minidoka Memorial Hospital a very Merry Christmas. God bless you.
Same to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Very nice lady. And don't forget Minidoka Memorial Hospital at 1224 8th Street in Rupert. Number to call for general information, 436-0481. Your health is so important. Work with the best that really care. Your friends and neighbors at Minidoka Memorial Hospital. Right now, let's send it over to our main studio. I'll be back with George Mass in just a moment.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, just before 8 a.m. on December 7th, 1941, hundreds of Japanese fighter planes attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor near Honolulu, Hawaii. The barrage lasted just 2 hours, but it was devastating. The Japanese managed to destroy nearly 20 American naval vessels, including 8 enormous battleships and almost 200 airplanes. More than 2,000 American soldiers and sailors died in the attack, and more than 1,000 were wounded. The day after the assault, President Franklin D. Roosevelt asked Congress to declare war on Japan. Congress approved his declaration with just one dissenting vote. 3 days later, Japanese allies, Germany and Italy, also declared war on the United States, and again Congress reciprocated. More than 2 years into the conflict, America had finally joined World War II. With me is naval veteran, dear friend, George Mass. Good morning, George.
Good morning, sir.
Your thoughts on Pearl Harbor Day, and move that microphone over in front of you, would you please? Go ahead. Thank you.
That was a sneak attack. We knew it was coming. In 1931, Japan invaded China and Indonesia, and this after the oil and rubber supplies. In 1937, they declared war on China, and they killed over 300,000 non-combatant civilians in China.
Yeah.
And it was coming. The U.S. cut off the parts for their planes and airplane fuel, and that got the Japs pretty upset.
I need you to speak louder, George, because it's not coming through very well on the microphone. That day, December 7th, as FDR said, will live in infamy. It totally caught most of our armed services, especially the Navy over in Honolulu, Hawaii, completely off guard. It
was the American intelligence did cipher some of the code to come in, and hours before, and they knew that the attack was going somewhere, but they figured it was over in the Asia area instead of Pearl Harbor. When Roosevelt found out about it, he got a hold of McCarthy and told him to be on high alert. And McCarthy said, it ain't going to happen here.
Yeah.
And it was within 7 hours. They bombed from Hong Kong to China in 7 hours.
You know, when you look at this attack that took place, 74 years ago today, And a lot of things have changed, but then on the other hand, a lot of things haven't changed. We're still under attack in this country by agents and groups and mass killing units like ISIS and others that want to do harm not only to us, but also our society.
I agree, and I suggest everybody get on the internet and look up the attack of Pearl Harbor. History is repeating itself from what we're going through today.
Really?
Yes, and there's one thing that I'd like to comment on, which this will, you can draw your own conclusions. That Jeanette Rankin, she was a two-term Congress in the U.S. She was there at both wars, First and Second World War, and she voted no. She was a pacifist. When she voted no on Pearl Harbor, the reporters hounded her so bad she had to hide in a cloak closet and later to a booth, and the police had to escort her out of there.
You know, I believe in everybody having their own opinion. There's absolutely a right in this country for freedom of speech. But in this case, where we had just been blatantly attacked, in the case of Pearl Harbor, and for this one person that you're talking about to, as a pacifist, give a no, not that her vote meant anything because she was overridden by all the yes votes, to go ahead and go after the bad guys, if you will. But today we've seen that problem just grow like a cancer where nobody wants to do anything to preserve our society.
It's true. It's it ain't affecting me, so why even mess with it?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
San Bernardino hit pretty close to home. It's not that far away.
I have a lot of friends that live down in that area. And here's something that was really interesting for that morning. The morning of the attack, I was in Salt Lake City at University Hospital. One of the doctors that was reviewing my case was from Redlands, California. And this was prior, about maybe 30 to 45 minutes prior to it being a breaking news story. And they came, I know later, and I found out later that they came and got him, and he made sure that his parents were all right down in that area, etc. So it's anybody and everybody is susceptible to knowing someone that's within the danger zone.
I have relatives down there in Mentone, which is a suburb of San Bernardino.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's...
And why are we so blasé as compared to what happened in 1941 and what is happening now in 2015?
Oh, I just think it ain't going to happen to me. You know, if a horse dies, and I really don't care because I don't own a horse. So that's the same attitude, you know. If it affects somebody, hits close to home, then it matters.
George, you served our country in the United States Navy, and give us the years that you served.
I served in 1963. I was active from 63 to 67, 2 years inactive to 69.
All right, and so basically during the Vietnam era.
Yes.
And we didn't really know per se who the enemy was over there, but we knew that the bad guys, when our servicemen left this country, they were going to go over to fight the bad guys. Well, now the bad guys are here on our turf. What are your thoughts about the differences as to how we need to counteract this problem today?
We got our butt in hot water. If we try to take out the Islamic terrorists here, they're going to do like they do everywhere else. They're going to hide behind civilians. So to get them out, we're going to be taking casualties from our civilians. That is something that should have been stopped a year and a half, 2 years ago, and the illustrious president wouldn't do it. Now we're going to be fighting in the backyard, and we're going to lose a lot of lives.
What about the Pearl Harbor association with today? Sneak attack, December 7th, 1941. Our military over in the Hawaiian Islands, many of which saw the planes coming, many of which were absolutely astonished. And then the attack started, and all the deaths and all the casualties. There's a lot of similarities as to what happened with San Bernardino.
It is. You know, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, there's two goals. One of them is to disable the American fleets. Japan can invade China, Indonesia, and the UK. The second was to demoralize the United States people so they wouldn't want to get into the war. And boy, did that backfire on those boys.
Yeah. What about the thoughts? There's very few remaining military personnel from that attack in 1941. I mean, it's just a handful of people that are still alive in this country. And I'm so afraid that with their passing, there's also going to be a forgetfulness.
It is. And that's why I push Youth for Liberty, for an example, get very involved in our community to keep out front of our past, what got us to where we are today, and it's just the veterans and our police force, boy, did they shine in San Bernardino.
Oh, my, yes. I highlight on that just a little bit.
Luckily, they was in training just a few miles away from there, and they was there. They charged into the building. Something that really struck me and put a lump in my throat was when that one officer was leading that group of people down the hall.
Yes.
He said, "Don't be afraid, I will take the bullet."
And here we are in a society, and I'm going to say this, and if somebody's offended, that's their problem, not mine, of the condemnation and the literal damning of police forces as to what's happening with the Black Lives Matter and other groups, and chanting pigs in a blanket and all this disgusting, absolutely disgusting verbiage. And then I heard that and saw that tape of, "Don't worry, calm down, I'll take a bullet, you won't have to." And I thought, what courage was displayed by our police forces and other members down in San Bernardino. And it shouldn't even have to be said that the courage that they displayed was absolutely awestruck.
It is. And if we see in a situation like that, would we be running head on into that, or would we hesitate?
Yeah. Well, talk about the war in World War II, and then, of course, our involvement in Vietnam and Korea and all the other involvements. I don't see the pride anymore in this country. I see our military people ready to pick up a backpack and a rifle and go fight for us, but I don't see the pride in our military from our government. Am I wrong?
No, the veterans and the military's got just as much pride today as they had 200 years ago. They believe in what they're doing, and they do what they're told. But this president, this administration, has really haven't brought them down to knees, but took a lot of the fire out of them, but they'll still do, and they'll die for us in a heartbeat.
George, the other day I was doing some research, and I called a good friend of mine back in Washington, D.C., and we were talking about cutbacks to military funding and where they were, where they are now under this president and this administration. And it's very concerning to a lot of people that really understand what's going on. We are not, in the opinion of many people that are in the know, ready and capable to take on a large enemy.
During World War II, when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, we was a third-rate country with a military power. There was Italy and Germany was the number one and number two power in Japan.
Right.
Anyway, we did down the list. It took World War II to get us out of our comfort zone and realize, we better step up and protect what we got, or we're going to lose it.
Well, we lost so much at Pearl Harbor, not only in human lives, but also in equipment and ships for our Navy. Basically, I'll say this, you can disagree with me, but basically, if you look at the historical records of the losses and the attack and everything, our country should have been possibly defeated at that juncture, but the American spirit fought back.
It is. Where the Japanese, they brought in two waves of planes. They was going to bring in three to attack the fuel depot, submarine base, shipyard repairs, and they backed off from that. That was their big mistake. And also all the ships in Pearl Harbor was in shallow water. They was able to resurrect them and get them back into World War II, all except the U.S., Arizona, and Utah.
Absolutely. Give us a little bit of the personality of the tribute at Pearl Harbor. Have you ever been there, by the way?
No, but if I may comment, Oakley Elementary School asked Adam and I to come up and do the POW table ceremony. As we was doing that, and then when we got done, we had a question and answer, and I was answering questions for these young men and women. And there's three kids that really caught my eye. They had tears coming down their face, and really quiet. And then pretty quick they got to ask questions. And I knelt down in front of this little girl, and I says, I know she's really emotional. How come? And she says, I've been to Pearl Harbor. And all three of those kids, young people, had been to Pearl Harbor, were sitting there sobbing.
Oh, my.
So it's, I've never been fortunate enough to go there, but I guess it's very moving from everything I can.
Pride in America.
Yeah.
We're going to have a weather forecast and come back with more on this Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day when the Japanese bombed Honolulu, Hawaii at 8 a.m. December 7th. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don't forget they are your hometown meat cutter, and they are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. They guarantee everything they sell. And delicious meats, I mean, whether it's pork chops, whether it's ribeye steaks, whether it's sirloin tips, it's all good, it's all delicious from Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast as we kick off another work week on this Monday, December 7th. Afternoon rain showers is what we're expecting. Slightly breezy winds out of the south, right around 10 miles an hour. High of 42 for today. Tonight, low of 36. Tomorrow, cloudy skies, slightly breezy, high of 48. More rain showers are expected for Wednesday and Thursday. Highs are going to be 48 for Wednesday, 41 for Thursday. And as we move on closer to the weekend on Friday, cloudy skies and 36. Yesterday's high was 40. The overnight low was 20. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina. Brought to everybody this hour by Don Scarrow and the entire crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat one delicious bite at a time. George, I was talking to a veteran about 3-4 days ago on the phone, and he had fought during the Korean conflict, and we were talking about wars and the rumors of war, and the number one thing that he left me with, and he was in the infantry, he said, it's about high time, and I'm paraphrasing what he said. It's about high time, and he corrected himself, and he said, no, it's past time that America started fighting to win.
We haven't fought to win since Pearl Harbor. We've been in conflicts. Conflicts have been political, or they've been religious. And you don't win those wars. Excuse me. If this president would untie the hands of these veterans, they'd go over there and they'd whip some butt in a heartbeat, and we'd be out of there.
So many veterans, whether it's Vietnam of your and my era, or whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan, every single soldier I've talked to that has returned home, including many of the people you know over in your area, they've all said to a person, man and women, let's take the gloves off and defeat evil.
Yes, yeah, and over there in Iraq or Afghanistan, which one it was, there was one of our comrades was laying down getting permission to fire back. He's getting shot on.
Yeah.
Before he got permission, he got killed. Now that's just bullcrap.
Well, I've really reached a point in my life where I don't. This sounds callous, George, but you and I are dear friends. I don't care if somebody's offended by my verbiage because I'm going to tell it like it is. And when you get into a fight, you don't tell the other corner you're going to lead with a right hook and then follow with a left cross.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to do this, or you just have at it.
And that's what the president did last night.
Yeah. Yeah, Zeb, I want to read a little bit of deal here that I pulled up off Pearl Harbor.
Good.
And I think you can read between the lines, and when I said history is repeating itself, I think you'll see that in this.
All right.
One further consequence...
I need you to get right in front of the mic, though. Don't talk off sideways. Thanks.
One further consequence of the attack on Pearl Harbor and its aftermath was that Japanese-American residents and citizens were relocated to nearby Japanese-American internment camps. And then goes, and that was in Honolulu. Later, over 110,000 Japanese Americans, including United States citizens, was removed from homes and transferred to internment camps in Colorado, Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Texas. Because the Canadian government also picked up theirs off the British Columbia province, and either told them you go to internment camp or you go back to. We'll ship you back to Japan.
Right.
Aftermath, looking at that, I think the internment camp was a good deal for two things. It saved them from getting somebody killed them, murdered them.
That's true.
And also for our security.
I will say this, and you being a veteran, you can criticize what I'm about to say, or you can agree with me, that for those like the College of Southern Idaho and other areas of history pundits that want to basically rake us over the coals for the Hunt Project, internment camp, etc., and damn and condemn America, I think they're fools. And you know why I think they're fools? Because at that time in history, the leaders of this country did what they thought was best at that time to keep us safe.
And also to keep them safe. You look at what happened in San Bernardino. Say if we escalate in an all-out civil war, whatever you want to call it here.
Yeah.
What are you going to do if you're getting shot at or see a bunch of Muslims, for example? That's where we're at. Are they going to be safe? Or are you going to take them out?
Well, Monday morning quarterbacking is ridiculous when it comes to history, because looking back 60, 70 years and saying, well, we should be condemned for that and we should have never done that, that's easy to say now with hindsight being 2020. But you know, at this time, during the Pearl Harbor bombing and then, of course, the threat that the Japanese were coming to the mainland, it actually helped preserve, I think, the safety for many of the Japanese people here in America, but it also was a protection device from our government for the citizens of this United States. And for some of these people, like at CSI and other locations, condemning us as Americans for what we did, I think that's totally wrong.
It is. And what if they hadn't have, and they had infiltrated in here and took us out? Then who do you blame?
That's exactly right. I am so sick of these armchair quarterbacks in history that call a foul 40, 50, 60, 70 years later.
I do too, and something I'm really proud of, seen on the news, that Christian college back east is arming, got concealed weapon classes for all the kids going to go to school.
George, I got to do a commercial, and then we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit. But, you know, this is a very special day, and I hope and I pray that Pearl Harbor Day is not forgotten.
It's got to be remembered. That's part of history, and that's got us where we're at today.
Absolutely. More with George in just a moment. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Service is the key word for all your traction tires, all the different tread designs, everything you need for safe wintertime driving. All the studded tires, the snow wheels, the tire chains. Oh, yeah, they're ready for the cold and the snow. And don't forget, too, that they've got all the tires for all your seasons of driving, along with your front end alignment, shocks and struts, the best in brake service. I can attest to that. Of course, professionally trained technicians and premium quality parts. Be sure and stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Half hour goes too fast. George, what are your thoughts again about Pearl Harbor Day?
Well, on Pearl Harbor, I've got a lot of mixed emotions. I've brought this comment up before about different commanders and that. During Pearl Harbor, Husband E. Kimmel and Walter Short got removed from their position, and yet for neglecting their duty. But then also McCarthy, he didn't get pulled back from that, and he was warned about it, and he did nothing about it. So there is politics way back.
Way back then, but the one thing that we did, and again, correct me if you think I'm wrong, the one thing that we did on the front in the European theater and also the Japanese theater, we went out and we tried and did win.
We did, but also it kind of makes me nervous looking today. Back then, it was the American people at home that won the war.
That's a good point.
You know,
the American citizen gave up a lot to stand behind their troops.
They did. They did supplies. Japan, they run out of supplies, run out of fuel. Germany run out of supplies and fuel. But the American citizens here stepped to the plate. I hope we still have that in our American people.
We had that winning attitude, that looking at the flag with tears in our eyes and saying that flag's not coming down.
It is, and it's the American people needs to step up. It's not just our military needs to step up. The American needs to step up.
God bless you, George Mass. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
No, I'm glad that you were here. Pearl Harbor Day, just before 8 a.m. on December 7th, 1941. Japanese fighter planes started us, the United States, into war by their bombing of Pearl Harbor. You've been listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. And don't forget, call for an appointment today at 312-0957. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. God bless you and your family. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. Wheels, have a good day.